If you've ever fancied a racing cockpit and you've got a small budget, stick around and I'll show you what you can have. Let me just start off by saying I'm kind of calling this a budget setup, but that's all down to your own personal circumstances and how much money you've got and what you think's dear and what you think's cheap or whatever. But for most people, you would probably say this is at the kind of cheaper end, but it's still quite expensive. And to be honest, it's very, very cheap compared to some of the other setups you can get out there, which goes into the thousands and thousands of pounds. But this is more an affordable setup that my son's put together, and he's kind of added bits to it as he's went along. So I thought I'd share it with you guys, and maybe you consider it for yourself or your kids in the future. Let's get started. First thing I'm going to show you is the actual next level GT Lite Racing Cockpit. Ollie's got that set up in his room in the corner, doesn't take up too much space. The frame itself is made out of carbon steel tubing, and it is designed to take a weight of 130 kilograms or 287 pounds, or a supported height of 120 to 200 centimeters or 4 foot 6 foot 6 inches. And the actual overall weight of the frame is 14.4 kilograms or 31.7 pounds. The seat itself is made with a highly breathable fabric which allows for maximum comfort, which is good if you start getting sweaty while you're playing the games. Just give Safi a wee clap here as she won't give his piece to make the rest of this video just a wee sook. On the back here we've got some extra padding for some more comfort. And on the left hand side here we've also got a strap which will stop you from falling out, although you're not going to go far in this room, you just smash into the wall. Over here we've got the plate which supports a gear shifter that can actually be adjusted and moved over to the right hand side for you weirdos who happen to be driving on the right hand side of the road. And then up here we've got the plate that supports the steering wheel. Again, this is fully adjustable, it's got multiple holes cut out for all sorts of different types of steering wheels. Down the bottom here we've got a wee knob. Wrong choice of words, we've got a screw here, hand screw. You can just unloosen that and then adjust the angle up and down to suit your driving needs. Pretty easy to adjust. Down here we've got the actual pedal frame as well. The pedals are just sitting on a couple of slides. You can move that up and down to suit yourself, whatever height you are. You can move these pedals back, just a case of loosening off these little levers and sliding the rails to suit. And the actual frame itself can be flipped so that it lies totally flat like an F1 style arrangement. It's an easy task to do as well, but just flip that over and get that frame sitting flat on the ground. And to get into the seat itself, sorry, I also forgot to mention, this is totally foldable. You just pop this lever up and the whole entire thing folds in a nice compact size. You can put that away in a cupboard or a wardrobe or something. And then here we have a latch you can open up and you can actually push the actual steering wheel frame back, which lets you get into the cockpit much easier rather than trying to jump into it Dukes of Hazzard style. And once you're sitting in the seat, you just pull it back into position, put a clasp around it, and then clamp it down using a little red lever, and that's that. All pretty simple. Next we'll have a look at the Thrustmaster T3PA pedal set. These are 3 fully metal pedals, each with individual pressure settings, and they're also fully adjustable. If you have a look at the front here, you'll see a couple of screws holding them on, which allows you to unscrew them and move the plate down or left or right, whatever to suit yourself, to suit how you want the pedals set out. Also around the back as well, there's a plate which sets the angle of the pedals, just a case of taking that off and rotating it 180 degrees, and it'll set the angle of the pedals differently for you. There's also an option which you can actually change in the steering wheel itself if you want to change the clutch from the left hand side over to the right hand side, basically swapping the accelerator and the clutch pedals over, but I can show you that later on. These pedals also come with a brake mod, little bracket thing here, as you can see. What you do is you drop that down to the back of the brake pedal. There's a screw underneath that you can loosen off and then just screw that in place, and then you get a more realistic feeling against the brake pedal. This can also be adjusted as well, just a case of using your thumb. You can screw it out a wee bit and you can adjust the pressure on the brake pedal. Ollie doesn't like it, so we'll leave that out for just now. Then we've got a cable to the side here that basically just gets routed up around the frame and plugs into the back of the steering wheel. Installation of the pedals is really easy. Screws come with the actual frame itself. You just screw them from the underside. You can actually lift the frame up and get to the underside of the pedals really easy. Simple job. Next up we have the Thrustmaster TH8A gear shifter. Metal knob up the top here, which is universal, can use any knob you want. And then we've also got a metal plate here with the 7 gears and the reverse layout. But this can also be swapped out for a sequential shifter kind of style. As you see here, the bracket for holding it on is at the bottom. This comes with a kind of typical table clamp style that you would normally see in like the kind of the cheaper steering wheels, but you can take this off and allows you to screw into cockpits like this. But the actual frame of the shifter itself can be fully rotated. Just loosen off these 4 screws here, and this bracket can be rotated 360 degrees to suit yourself where you want your gear stick to be positioned. Higher position or lower position, whatever kind of style of driving you prefer. Nice smooth feeling. Feels as if it's been really well made. You can just have loads and loads of fun using a gear stick like this. Just gives it an extra wee bit of realism, which is something that Ollie wanted. Got a cable down here, which I've just routed around the frame. You can unscrew that and take it apart if you want. And that just goes round to the back of the steering wheel, if I can show you, if it's going to focus in. And finally onto the Thrustmaster TMX force feedback steering wheel. This is the full 900 degree rotation, if I can show you one-handed, which makes it realistic. Has the paddle shifters on the back here, and then has a typical Xbox button layout, coloured buttons at the top here, LB and RB buttons along with your pause and share button. Thrustmaster logo at the bottom of the steering wheel. At the back you can see the Xbox button on the housing along with the mode button. Now earlier on I mentioned about the mode button. This allows you to change the setup of the clutch and the accelerator pedal. So at the moment accelerator's on the right, clutch is on the left. By pressing this button in, that light will turn to green and those pedals will be swapped about if that's the way you want your pedals to be set up. So the actual force feedback in this thing's pretty strong. The motor inside the housing gives off a fair kick. I was actually surprised when I first played it how powerful it was. So it gives off a real good effect if you go off-road or across dirt tracks and stuff. And lastly, we have the next level racing floor mat. Nice embroidery in the middle of it. Basically got this because of the vibration this thing gives off. It makes some noise going through a wooden floor, so my son asked for this to try and calm the noise down a wee bit, and it's actually worked a treat. It keeps it nice and quiet. But that's the overall setup. Now I'm going to treat you to a couple of minutes of me making a big arse of myself and playing his game while he's away. And that was an overview of Ollie's cockpit setup. So what I'll do is I'll jump online and I'll show you a website where you can actually buy this stuff from, and I'll leave a link to all the items below for this website and for the actual manufacturer's website as well. So the website is box.co.uk if you've never heard of it before. I've used them quite a lot for other things, PC parts and so on. They tend to do some good deals every now and then, some good sales, and they tend to have a lot of things in stock. There's one item they don't have in stock, I'll show you that as we're going through, but highly recommend box.co.uk if you've never used them. So yeah, the first item is the actual cockpit itself, 180 quid. Then move on to the steering wheel, which is also it's £140. Forgot to mention that the actual steering wheel comes with a set of pedals, so if you want to just start off with a cockpit and a steering wheel and some pedals, you can just go for this setup, and then later on add the 3 pedal setup, gear shifters, handbrakes, you name it, whatever you want to add. You can build it up, and that's basically what we done with Ollie. He started off with this. Next is the gear shifter, that's 130 quid. We then go into the pedals, those are also 130 quid, and this is the item that's out of stock, as I mentioned. Struggled to get hold of one of these. I don't know whether they'll maybe stop manufacturing them because they're actually quite old now, but pretty sure if you shop around and you know where to look, you'll find yourself a set. Even if you have to go second hand as well, you should be able to pick up a set. And the last thing is the racing mat itself, so that's 30 quid. I think if you add all those items together, it comes to about 610 quid, which I think's fantastic value for what you're getting, that kind of setup, and just being able to experience driving nearly like the real thing. But it's fun, it's what Ollie wants, and he loves it so far. Some people will say that that's still quite expensive, but when you do really kind of look into it, the price of the other steering wheels, with swappable steering wheels and so on, other add-ons and stuff like that, more expensive pedals, far more expensive cockpits, that your monitors, you could have a triple monitor layout, whatever, you could go into the thousands and thousands of pounds. It can be silly money, but he loves the setup that he's got, and that's the main thing. But yep, that's another video. You can let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed this. Do you find any of it interesting? Is it going to help you make a decision buying something for yourself or for your kids? As always, please leave a like and subscribe and share the videos if you can, guys. Would be much appreciated, and hopefully I'll be back again soon. See you later.